when I was there 2 years ago in WWF, it was the exact same because the same guys in WCW. And mind you, with guys that's got contracts like they had in WCW when I was there, everybody's got a contract. Everybody knows their position. They know their role. As one of the guys in WWF used, I think Rocky used to say that. Know your role. They knew their role. They knew their position, and it was easy. They come in, do their job, get their money. The checks came every 2 weeks, whether you worked or you didn't work. You could stay home for 6 months, still draw checks. Same way in the WWF nowadays, as opposed to years ago when there was that scheming, conniving, backstabbing. Let me give you a little history real quick about, we talk about Hogan and all the things, how I feel about him. And my friend Dr. D, David Schultz, had a big blow up with Hogan, and eventually Dr. D went after Hogan and went after Mr. T, and told McMahon that he knew where he lived and he was going to get McMahon. So McMahon put 24-hour security guards around his house, office building over as secure as the White House right now. You can't even go from floor to floor or room to room in some cases without using your security card at that office, only because they were so afraid of David Schultz. and yeah, Hogan's afraid of Schultz even to this day. Sooner or later, David Schultz will run across Hogan again. But as we drove the highways in Pensacola and Tennessee and different places, David was always thinking about ways to draw the big crowd, the big show. And Austin Idol, as I mentioned before, Idol was in and around, and Idol, Hogan took this from Idol. Hey, it's Idolmania! It's Idolmania running wild! Hey, it's Hulkamania running wild! He took that from Idol, Idolmania. Then Schultz picked up on an idea called, let's call it WrestleMania. Let's make it a big event. Let's have, Muhammad Ali, have because Mr. T was real hot with the A-Team right. And all that. Had this big show. David talked about this big show for 2 years and called it WrestleMania. Then he gets over to Minneapolis, and of course, probably when they were sitting around at nighttime and they were doing all the nighttime activities that the wrestlers do, sometimes the old ganja makes you think all kind of thoughts. They probably talked about it, and Hogan was living with David in the apartments in the same apartment complex in Minneapolis. And the whole WrestleMania, Mr. T, WrestleMania, it all started right there. And Hogan gave it to McMahon, him and Schultz, because they came to WWF as a package against each other.
I'll understand.
Sorry.
But when it came to the actual WrestleMania, David had, on the instructions of McMahon, slapped John Stossel. They thought he had too much heat on him. They didn't want to use him now in this big event. There was some heat going on between Hogan and Dr. D. It was all Dr. D's idea, the whole thing, to even get Mr. T and even get Muhammad Ali and all these celebrities and make it a big star-studded event. And to think that someone would take your idea and to use that idea and you not be a part of it is enough to break a man. And that broke David Schultz because, and he blames Hogan for this, they used Piper and Orndorff against Hogan and Mr. T instead of David Schultz and Piper or David Schultz and Orndorff. That was Schultz's spot, and he got bumped out of it. The biggest event in the history of our business, the WrestleMania 1, will always be the biggest because it started it.
Right.
And he got bumped out of that, and he was never the same anymore after that. Never the same towards anybody. And I, as Bill Clinton would say, I feel his pain. To think that someone would take something of yours like that, use it every way you say it, and then not even make you a part of it. So that's where Hogan, it started a long time ago. It wasn't just something that probably he rubbed off from McMahon.
Do you think Vince tried to use Jeff Jarrett basically to copy your gimmick?
Yeah, it was a slap back to me. That's what it was.
Right.
He actually used it. He tried it before with someone else. Lance Cassidy, the Singing Cowboy, which was one of the Armstrong boys, I think. That it didn't get over. Then Jarrett. That brings me to the Jeff Jarrett situation that people say, how do you feel about that? Well, in a way you should feel honored that someone would want to copy you in some fashion of what you did. You obviously made an impact on someone, but in another way, this guy's been around 15 years. He's not some young kid in the business.
Right.
He hasn't been able to get over in any place he's ever been other than his daddy's territory. If you're going to take someone's gimmick, then you better do it better than that guy. And if you can't, then get rid of it. Don't use it. He used it once in the WWF, and I think, sure, that was Vince's way of slapping me, making a mockery out of me and the gimmick. Jeff didn't get over with it. He goes to WCW. He doesn't use it at all. He comes out and tries to be himself. He doesn't get over, but he doesn't get over because they put the big-titted broad with him,
Right.
with a blonde hair. She stood out more than him. The worst thing you can do is have a valet that is so gorgeous or so beautiful or takes all the attention away from the wrestler. If she takes the attention away from you, you're dead.
Right.
She's the star, not you. He was obviously stupid and didn't understand that. He goes back to the WWF, and this is where I was getting like David getting slapped in the face. I'm in the locker room of the WWF when they bring him back. They put him in the rhinestone suits, put him on a horse, give him a manager, give him some bogus NWA belt. I'm in the locker room sitting there. They don't even use me. I sat there for 12 hours every Monday, never even mentioned my name. And then they give him the guitar and he goes out and uses it while I'm sitting there. Now I know why they did that. But if I had been Jeff Jarrett, obviously he's got no backbone or no professionalism. If I had been him and they told me to do that, I'd said, that's his gimmick. He's I don't want to do that.
Right.
Not while he's here. I mean, if you guys get rid of him or something, then fine. But, I really don't want to. He didn't do that. He played the game with them. So you got to think, well, I'm not around anymore. They're going to continue to do it. So fine. No problem. That's the second time they've done it. It didn't get over. But the idiot, this dumb son of a bitch, goes to WCW and carries that gimmick with him again. It gets to be a point where you say, the hell with this guitar. I don't want it anymore. I want to get over as myself.
Right.
I want to get over as a new gimmick. I've tried this thing 3 times now and it didn't work. I don't want any girls with me. I want to go out here and get over. Obviously he can't get over. He's not going to get over. He's a small guy. He's a mid-card wrestler, and he's not going to get over. And it's bad. It's bad because if I took Bill Dundee's Elvis gimmick, and I've seen Bill a bunch of times, and I told Bill, I said, I would never have come to Memphis and used that. Somebody gave it to me in another territory, and I did it. But when I went back to Memphis, I didn't go back there as a Honky Tonk Man. I never would have done that because out of professional courtesy to somebody. You don't do it. If you take his gimmick and you go off to California and you use it, well, California TV doesn't bleed into Memphis. But once I went to the WWF, I perfected the gimmick and made it much more stronger than Bill ever knew how to do it. So I expounded on it. I made it bigger. There's never been but one Hulk Hogan. There's never been but one Roddy Piper. What I don't understand is if McMahon, he obviously either hates me so much or he likes me, he liked my gimmick so much. Why doesn't he ever bring somebody and have him be the snake? Why don't he have Austin, the rattlesnake, tow the snake around? Why don't he have somebody go out and blow the bagpipes like Piper? Why don't he call somebody Mr. Wonderful like he did Paul Orndorff? He's never done that. I have been really the only gimmick, other than the Rick Rude, and Rick's not around anymore, that they used a stripper gimmick like Rick Rude did, the dancing with Val Venus. But mine has been the only one that they've actually taken and totally used the pieces of the gimmick. Jarrett now goes out and hits 5 guys. The guitar explodes like paper and everybody, they think it's a sham. So whatever he's done, they hadn't killed me, they've made me stronger because people say, that guitar he used, that's nothing but paper. Hey brother, when you hit him, you knock the shit out of him.
Right.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.